What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is everybody doing today? I am doing just fine, and I am happy, so happy to be bringing you some more StarCraft 2 commentary. Today's matchup that we are looking at is between IM MVP and Liquid Huck. We are here on Metalopolis. We can see right now IM MVP as our Red Terran player. I will just be referring to him, of course, as MVP. And Liquid Huck as our Blue Protoss player, spawning here in the 9 o'clock position. And again, MVP here in the 6 o'clock here on Metalopolis. So what do we have here? Well, we have got, of course, close air distance between the two. However, they both obviously have their own half of the map because they are not in some close ground distance situation, which usually lends itself to relatively short games. So we may very well be seeing a longer game. Who knows? Who knows indeed? Huck asking MVP who he is against next, and I guess it is Gonzi. Look at that. Huck contemplating that, and yes, we can see right now we've got some chrono boost going on. I don't know what I'm talking about, but anyways, what do we got going on? Well, I want to let you know right now, as of your viewing of this, I am likely to be on an airplane flying to Las Vegas, and I am much looking forward to this vacation. I don't know why I keep mentioning it. Well, probably because I'm super excited. It's going to be a lot of fun going with my girlfriend. Also, her family's going to be there as well, so should be enjoyable, I must say. Looking forward to it. Partly a vacation, partly in celebration to just how well Force Strategy Gaming, this YouTube channel, and this community has been doing. And you know what? I have you guys to thank entirely for that. That is quite clearly the case. So thank you all so much for everything. Thank you for being fans. Thank you for watching the videos, the StarCraft commentary, the strategy videos, the Diablo videos, whatever you're here for. I want to thank you. Much appreciated. Everything that I am able to do is done because of you guys and for you guys. So obviously 1 million thanks goes to you. So anyways, yes, let's look at this game right now. We can see MVP looking pretty standard. He is actually going for the wall off, and you don't see every Terran player do this against a Protoss opponent simply because the danger is losing these buildings when aggression comes. The reason, of course, you do it against Zerg players is because those Zerglings are so deadly early game inside of your base. You kind of are forced to go for that wall off. But against, you know, there aren't melee units to worry about early game against Protoss, so there's really no reason to get it early game other than denying scouting. That's a really big point. And as long as MVP feels comfortable that he can defend these buildings if a push does come from Huck, then it is, of course, not a bad idea. And look at this, hiding the factory in the corner. Going straight racks into factory is actually not the most standard of things. I say that because it's so very common to see a 3 racks opening, or a 2 racks and expansion opening, or a 1 racks and expansion opening. But racks straight into factory in the TVP matchup isn't something you see that often. In fact, we can see MVP coming out with a bunker as early game defense just because of the fact that, yes, he is teching up. Scout from Huck trying to move up into the main. Now let's take a look over here at what Huck is doing. Huck going for that 1 gate into expansion. So as you can see, Huck opting for a very, very quick expansion. This puts him susceptible to early game aggression, but fortunately for him, as we see here, MVP is teching up. We can see that starport coming out. Here's the tech lab. I'm almost expecting Banshees here. That seems like the logical step here for MVP. So MVP opening up with the Banshees, and will Huck be prepared for it? Well, as of right now, the answer is no. He has 2 gateways coming out, 1 gateway out, no robo at the moment. Doesn't look like he plans to get one. He could be getting one sometime soon, and hopefully he does, because if we do see cloak Banshees from MVP, well, then Huck could be in a whole heck of a lot of trouble. So let's see what does transpire here. Looks like he is saving up enough SBN to, in fact, get that cloak research pretty much right away once he drops that starport. And let's see. Now the robo is coming out. The robotics is building right now for Huck. And here we go. Starport landing. First Banshee out, and here comes the cloak. So yes, cloak will be making through, but look at that. Huck dropping that robo almost just in the nick of time. Now, once that, of course, observer is out, he will obviously be able to see the cloak Banshees, but that does not mean that the Banshees can still won't be able to do some damage. They definitely have that opportunity. Now, Huck has scouted the fact that that bunker was placed. In fact, I'm going to say that's a large part of his decision to actually drop this robo, because he saw that bunker, because that is kind of an indicator of some sort of fast techie build. That's very likely why Huck decided to drop that robo, kind of as a just-in-case situation. situation. We can see still no observer yet. There we go. Finally going to be actually chrono boosting out that observer. So that will make it out way before this cloak research even finishes. But either way, MVP heading across the map. We can see Huck trying to scout an expansion. But look at this. MVP pushing out with that cloak Banshee and expanding on Huck's half of the map. Very risky, very dangerous situation, but could pay off, especially if Huck doesn't think to check there. So MVP kind of stuck in the corner right now. Those stalkers pinning him back. The observer is out and will be heading out. But here comes the Banshee right now. Cloak research just about finished. Second Banshee will be out in just one moment as well. Trying to move down to the expansion, and the stalkers pinning it in the corner. And MVP losing that first Banshee without doing any damage, unfortunately. Huck still checking that natural, but not aware of the fact that MVP has expanded here. And here comes that second Banshee moving in straight with the cloak, walking right by the observer. Doing an about face, turning around, and MVP, is he going to lose the second Banshee? This could be a big problem. MVP managed to do 0 damage with those Banshees, just took losses. Taking a look at that unit loss tab, very, very unfortunate situation right now for MVP. But wow, another expo coming out. So MVP, he has this expansion up right now. I do not expect him to transfer any workers over, because if he attempts to do that, you know, that would kind of be a dead tip-off if Huck scouts those workers in transition that this base is up here. So MVP will just be turning this into an orbital, building SCVs out of it as it goes along, and trying to move this expansion as well. Now, why is he going for this expansion? That seems kind of scary. Well, he needs to let Huck realize, this isn't as kind of odd as you may think it is, because if this expansion wasn't up, Huck would have definitely realized something funny was going on. So coming out with this expansion partly is the reason why he did that, because he didn't want Huck to be too suspicious. But that could be obviously dangerous because of the fact that he has invested so many resources into this, and there is a very large push coming from Huck. In fact, I have no idea how MVP intends on defending against this. He does have siege mode up. Looks like he isn't coming out with it, but he does not know about this right now. And here comes the big engagement, force field, and oh no, losing the tank. Lifting up those units though with that medevac, absolutely beautiful there by MVP. Will be filling up that bunker, siege tank going up, and SCV's pulling down to repair. They need some mass repairs right now. If he can keep this bunker up, then he may actually be able to defend this, and this is unreal. Mass repair going down on that bunker, keeping it alive. The siege tank shelling out massive amounts of damage, and Huck's push isn't going to break MVP. At least it doesn't look like it. He will do a lot of damage though. These SCVs are in the line of fire, but you know what? MVP isn't too concerned, because once more he does have that base up at the 12 o'clock position, and unbelievably managing to defend against this. This is completely unreal. MVP actually with this mining, he might not be that bad off. Let's take a look really quickly here at the income tab. MVP still clearly behind because he lost so many SCVs in that engagement, but certainly could be much worse right now. He does have this other orbital command right here that he was trying to move. Oh, look at that, it's shelling out on that pylon, trying to get dropped, and here comes that continued attempted aggression. Huck is not going to expect MVP will be able to defend this at all, because he doesn't know about the extra income that MVP has. Target firing down that tank though, and this is a problem. We'll be forced to engage again with some more SCVs pulling down. Here comes another tank as well. Huck with clear vision as to what's going on with his observer right now. He does have 2 pylons right now, so we'll be continuing up to reinforce. And here comes a bunker placement right now, and the only reason that MVP has been able to defend this long is because of that expansion at the 12 o'clock position. Tank shelling out on those zealots, trying to micro with that bio as much as possible, and Huck losing most of his units right now. Now able to warp up on the high ground with those zealots again because of that observer right there. So hopefully MVP gets rid of these pylons and dropping the tank with those zealots. We'll be taking out these zealots as well, trying to engage with what bio he has. The SCV count is so low, but once more not aware of the fact of that expansion. Look at that SCV just chilling out from MVP inside of the main of Huck. Huck's just so focused on this engagement, he hasn't even acknowledged the fact that that SCV is there, and Huck is in the mental position right now of thinking, you know what, MVP, he's hardly got mining going on, I should be able to break this, no problem. That is why Huck is continuing to kind of pound his head against this engagement and trying to constantly engage. But once more, because of this almost saturated expansion right now of MVP, Huck was able to constantly rebuild. There we go, finally scanning and dropping down the observer, and MVP successfully defended that engagement. And unreal, Huck obviously thinking that he had the game. looking at that main, and Huck in the position of thinking, well, this is the only mining base, so he's not mining, he's defending with his SCVs, he should not be able to reinforce. But as we saw clearly, MVP able to reinforce without issue because of this expansion. That was unreal. And you know what, I have to be honest here, during that initial push from Huck, if he had just broke that bunker in that first push and would have been able to get up to that siege tank, then Huck would have just outright won right there, because going for that quick second and third expansion in this third orbital command so fast, MVP put himself in a very dangerous position. And look at this, Huck will be dropping down his third, but is still not aware of this expansion. Unreal. MVP, just absolutely unreal. And again, it was that small timing, that small narrow window that MVP was able to defend this bunker and keep that tank up that allowed him to survive, and that is the sole reason he is still in this game. Now let's take another look here at the income tab. MVP slowly clawing his way back right now. In terms of minerals, he is actually at the advantage right now, obviously partially due to the help of those mules. Vespene-wise, he is quite low, but that's not a huge deal, because going with a general bio-heavy army, you don't need that much Vespene. It's not the most required thing. It isn't really until you start to transition into pumping out some more medevacs that you need those extra refineries and you need that extra Vespene. But big bulk of the production of a Terran army against a Protoss opponent with that bio build will be coming from Vastly minerals. As we can see again here, Huck coming up with his third right now. Now take a look here at the main, still sitting gateway heavy, is transitioning into some Blink Stalkers, and look at that double starport, chrono boosting out some Void Rays right now. So Huck choosing to move into some Void Ray action. He does have proxy pylons spotted all throughout the map, and this is something I definitely love to see Protoss players do. The proxy pylons allowing you to spot expansions, but also allowing you for some mid and late game aggression, being able to just warp in at any given point and harass some expansions and just kind of be a nuisance is definitely something that's very helpful, very beneficial as well. So again, here is MVP's unscouted expansion. Huck does have his third up, getting it saturated, also working on those assimilators as well. Back inside of the main, still just sitting on that gateway tech. Again, we did spot those Void Rays coming into play, so we'll be interested to see how Huck decides to utilize these Void Rays and try to harass and kind of be a nuisance to MVP. Picking off buildings and kind of just trying to be a pain in the butt is something that he can do pretty effectively once he starts to get a large amount of Void Rays. Right now, just sitting on the 2, he's got 2 more chrono boosting through, so let's keep an eye out to see if he decides to come out with any more after that point as well. Medevacs coming on through right now for MVP, sitting obviously pretty barracks heavy. He does have his factory up, and will he come out? Yes, it is going to actually keep up this tank production, and tank play isn't something you see a ton of as a Terran player against Protoss, but clearly since MVP took those heavy losses from that push of Huck, he does want some sort of a defensive measure, and those tanks will certainly do the trick right now. You can see set up back here, nice and protected by this row of depots as well as that bunker and this command center coming down. It's going to form some sort of a wall off, and then later down the road, MVP obviously will be able to use this to expand once more and move out into his 4th expansion. Right now, spotting the edge of the base right now with the Observer. Huck may actually catch those medevacs. We do have a bunch of medevacs here as well as a Raven that will be moving across the map and trying to drop inside of the main base of Huck and probably just try to do some sniping. Now, we do have a Marauder moving across the map as well. A little of engagement did take place there with those Stalkers there. But here we go, MVP moving across, and again, Huck fully aware. Stalkers engaging, dropping down and dropping the point defense drone as well, and MVP has an opportunity to do a bit of damage. We are seeing Huck move in with the entirety of his force, and he will be revealing his hand and showing these Void Rays right now, and unfortunately MVP does not have enough to deal with it, pulling back to the safety of the point defense drone though. MVP trying to do as much damage as possible, realizing he is going to be losing these. The Void Rays target firing down everything, and MVP lost all of his medevacs there, and here come the Void Rays, and how is MVP going to be able to deal? We do have 5 Void Rays right now, 2 more coming out. This factory looks to be a goner. I do not think, yes, MVP has no chance of saving it, actually waiting and letting it burn, dropping down the tech lab, and then continuing to engage. Fully charged right now, can do a lot of damage. Marines stimming up. Obviously, those Marines do very, very well against these Void Rays, but fully charged, the Void Rays have a much better chance, and here come the Vikings to engage as well. These Void Rays doing what they can. At the same time, Huck continuing up this aggression, pulling across the map with his ground forces as well as having those Void Rays inside of the main base. And look at that mass repair going down from MVP, managing to save that starport because he does need those Vikings. And here comes the ground aggression from Huck. Lots of sentries, couple stalkers in the mix as well. He will not be able to walk up to that siege line though, unless those Void Rays manage to target firing it down. That siege line will be way too much for what he has, especially being so sentry heavy. Those sentries do get exploded pretty quick by those siege tanks, so he does need to be careful. Blinking up some stalkers on the high ground, just trying to sit inside of the main of MVP and do as much damage as possible. And again, the fact that MVP is still alive right now is solely due to the fact that he has that 12 o'clock expansion up and running. Marauder Heavy Force able to push back those ground units, and still not enough, though, to deal with these Void Rays. This continuous Void Ray aggression has just been unreal here from Huck. Huck doing heavy amounts of damage, and a Fleet Beacon coming out as well. Huck might be moving into carriers, possibly even getting a mothership. Who knows at this point in the game? But Huck managed to do quite a bit of damage. Now let's take a look here at the unit loss tab. Still about equal though. Huck having a slight advantage, but MVP managing to do quite a bit of damage as well. That tank line certainly helped him there, allowed him to hold back that ground push that was coming from Huck while those Void Rays were inside of the main, because that certainly could have been a lot more devastating. And here we go, Huck finally moving out. He realizes at this point something is fishy, something odd is going on, and here it comes, finally the reveal, the big aha moment for Huck, seeing MVP's expansion up here. He will of course be sending down a bunch of units to take care of that. Shouldn't be much of an issue though, because MVP has nothing to defend, and this, of course, is the major danger of these expansions. And trying to transfer that orbital command, that will get sniped down by these Void Rays. Do we have? Yes, we do. Vikings coming forward to engage, but it does not matter. The expansion gets dropped. The Void Rays trying to engage and do as much damage as possible, realizing they will be losing their lives, just trying to, again, do some damage. And there you go. Now here comes that transition. It looks like it will in fact be carriers, but losing that command center, losing that orbital command was a big problem. Now lifting off here, walking into the main with his forces, he was able to clean up all of the SCVs. Huck, looks like he took care of everything there, but still, without enough anti-air, MVP was able to actually lift off. And the fact that he saved this orbital command is a big deal, because losing that one that he was moving to that high yield to those Void Rays was a problem. So saving this became absolutely crucial. And I do not think at this point MVP is in as bad of a position as he certainly could be. We have a couple stalkers moving across the map. Looks like he is just checking that high yield. Oh no, he already knows about it. So he was trying to pull down, actually snipe down that SCV, and this is actually a really good thing by MVP, because he stopped the production of that command center and then walking back home with those two stalkers. So right now MVP will be forced to pull down with another SCV to actually continue up that building, and just a little bit of stalker harassment. I realize these stalkers do have blink, so he is just trying to poke and prod and do a little bit of damage. Now we do have the expansion up here. Keep in mind though, Huck does have this pylon up. We've got carriers coming through as well as a dark shrine, so Huck doing a little bit of everything, throwing in the kitchen sink as well. Ton of zealots sitting in the main. I believe I may have missed a drop. If I did, I am sorry. Now here come the carriers moving across the map right now for Huck. Huck looking to keep up this constant pressure. He's been doing a really great job of continuing aggression. Very nice though, MVP coming down with that sensor tower, letting him see any push from air or otherwise against this expansion of his. Huck with control of the towers, obviously once more fully aware of the fact that MVP is sitting at this high yield. And there we go, finally spotting the proxy pylon. We do still have one proxy pylon here and here as well. This one will get taken care of though. Huck, no, warping in a couple of zealots and a Dark Templar. Very nice. So going to be forcing MVP to use some scans. Now that some Dark Templar coming to play, DT will be moving into the main resource line over here as well. Where's this one DT? There we go, spotting that expansion and actually trying to come up with that tower. There we go, finally blowing the scan, dropping that Dark Templar. We do still have one Dark Templar sitting over here, a couple of zealots chasing around a few units, and here comes that big push across the middle. Carriers, High Templar, Stalkers, Zealots, Immortals, just everything blinking right up into the main. Charge Zealots pulling in as well. The DT still sitting over here, but here is that big engagement right now, and the carriers coming into play. There are a lot of Vikings. MVP does, of course, just want to make sure that he target fires down those carriers. Some very nice force field placement, keeping those Marines and Marauders away, but no, not going to be enough. Pulling forward. Some big storms going down, though. Very nice. Right on the Bio Army, and MVP taking massive amounts of damage. He does still have the siege tank up, though, and that is helping quite a bit. We do still have two carriers sitting back here in the back position. Another storm going down. One Archon coming through as well, and this ground army of Huck taking massive shell damage from that siege tank. Very nice defense there by MVP. Huck doing what he can. He does still have these carriers in play, able to snipe down the expansion. So MVP losing that base again. And let's try to find that 1DT still sitting over there. A couple proxy pylons sitting up here. Carriers just trying to continue to do some work. Not quite enough Vikings at this point from MVP to deal with this. We do have some Ghost here in play as well. Obviously, the main point of those will be for getting some EMPs there on the army, trying to drop the energy of those Templars as well as the shields of those units here for the Protoss army of Huck. And this game has been pretty nuts thus far, I would have to say. Just the turn of events, a constant aggression from Huck and dropping these expansions. He's really done a really great job with that one notable exception of MVP sitting here at the 12 o'clock position for quite some time. Huck's been doing a really phenomenal job so far this game, and obviously hats off go to MVP as well for his ability to defend and still be in this game. He is still fighting. He has lost a lot of expansions though, and that is a major problem. You can see, even though it is slight, Huck is still ahead in terms of the resources lost. He is in not nearly as bad of a position. Looks like Huck getting ready for another transition as well. This time we'll be moving into Colossus. The Robotics Bay is coming out. Also some more carriers making their way on through as well. So we've seen Void Rays, DT, carriers, High Templar, just everything. And MVP mixing it up as well by throwing in these ghosts. We'll be sticking still pretty bio-heavy though, just because that is the build of choice as a Terran player against Protoss. It is the most effective, most efficient, and your best chance as well. Something that I do really want to see MVP try to do. I know he tried that one big drop over here that did unfortunately get taken care of. I would really like to see some continuous drop aggression just because it can be so effective, and trying to even just one medevac filled with Marines going stim and taking out workers. You can drop those probes so quickly, and that certainly helps quite a bit. DT trying to harass a bit does get taken care of. We do have plenty of turrets placed around the map for spotting those DT. But here comes another push from Huck right now. Pretty zealot heavy. Lots of carriers in the mix there as well. Now it looks like the Vikings will be pushing back these carriers, and there aren't a lot of stalkers right now to deal with all those Vikings. So that is a little bit of a cause for concern. And here we go. MVP finally deciding to push out right now. He will be taking care of the zealot here at the high ground at that tower. And I guess that's pretty much about it. Then we'll be moving up this one Marauder, and he will be spotting this push, and here it comes right now. So now he is aware this push is coming. Needs to be careful not to engage those High Templar. Need to be very careful. There we go, Storm going down. Of course, we do want to see MVP try to get a EMP down on those High Templar if at all possible. That is his best chance at dealing with that. 1DT, 0 kills, but getting ready to spot this expansion, and Huck will be keeping it up right now. He's getting that, what is that? Gravitic boosters? I'm sorry, guys. Really sorry on my inability to actually say that word. That's a huge problem. I'm a dummy. Huck right now doing a little bit of remote mining of whatever is left here of this expansion. Still not moving up into the high yield. He's not too concerned about taking that yet. MVP sitting back and not being aggressive at all. And again, it's kind of an issue. It's something that I really would like to see MVP doing. Obviously, he is in a tough position and coming from so far behind, and basically he's just been trying to play catch up this entire game. Makes it kind of hard to push out, so in that sense, I certainly understand. Here we go, Huck grabbing that high yield, finally pushing across to the other side of the map right now. Taking advantage of the mobility of the carriers, he will be able to move up and check the expansion. I don't think, oh, there we go. He knew there was an expansion here, but as we can see, MVP had lifted that off and moved it to the high yield. So moving in, he will scout out that expansion. Is not there anymore, although we did have one that was trying to be transferred or looked like it was trying to be dropped over there as well. But Huck doing a great job of maintaining map control. He still does have these 2 proxy pylons and still 2 DT as well, trying to deny and stop any expansions. Obviously, if we just have a single SCV come down and try to drop an Expo, these Dark Templar will take care of them very quickly, and yeah, force just some continuous movement there from MVP. And here comes the engagement right now. Those carriers leading the way. Charge Zealots pulling down here as well, and there we go, pushing right on up. Are we going to see any storms? I don't see any High Templar. Ghost actually looking for those High Templar, pulling to the back, and there we go, High Templar coming from over here from a War Prism, storming on the bio of MVP, finally dropping the War Prism there, getting an EMP down on those Stalkers as well. Pulling forward to try to snipe down these carriers and actually doing a really great job, but look at all of those interceptors doing a lot of damage. Stalkers not target firing down those Vikings, realizing it's kind of an exercise in futility. No point in doing it just because he really doesn't stand much of a chance at this point. There were just far too many Vikings. He just wanted to do as much damage as possible. Nice engagement, but look again, MVP able to defend, and it looks like he will be taking out the final remaining carriers here from Huck. So Huck, with no carriers left, he's got a couple more coming out. Let's take a look. What is he sitting at right now? Just a couple of Dark Templar Zealots, High Templar, and one carrier is all he has left. Is one carrier still dancing around and doing what damage it can, and unbelievably, the carrier makes it away. I thought there were enough Vikings to deal with that, but apparently I was wrong. Where did they all go? Looks like they all got taken out in trying to take down those carriers. So very nice micro and awareness by Huck, pulling back just out of the range of those Vikings and using the range of those interceptors to try to snipe them down as he's moving away. Storm going down and landing right on the bio army there of MVP. So MVP taking massive losses, not sitting with a lot of medevacs, and another storm. Vikings trying to snipe down the carriers, and wow, just barely able to make it. Archon being morphed in and actually managed to take out that Viking as he was trying to retreat. We do have Huck sitting here at the high yield and moving forward with some charge lots, able to push back the bio here of MVP, and this just constant back and forth between these two players, mainly on the side of Huck. We did see MVP try to push out a little bit, and hopefully he does try to continue up some sense of aggression, because once more, as stated prior, he really needs to do something. He needs to do some damage. Yes, he's been defending, and he's been doing a phenomenal job at that, at defending against Huck, but he's done no economic damage really so far this game. He's allowed Huck to freely mine, not able to do much in terms of taking anything out. Although he did take off this base from that half of the expansion, we still do have unmined bases here from MVP as well. So MVP obviously not fully using his side of the map here either. So right now at this point, what we do really need to see, again, MVP needs to try to do some aggression, but he may also be in the mentality of just trying to buy himself time and wait until Huck is just lost his half of the map, because again, MVP did take a lot of resources from this half of the map from Huck, and that's actually a good move, because late game it's going to starve Huck. If Huck does not manage to push out and do enough damage and actually break MVP before he mines out of this base, then he could be in a lot of trouble, because once more, again, Huck, MVP does still have access to these two bases and a little bit sitting over here, and in fact a lot actually sitting over here as well. So at this point, MVP once more could be in a very strong position if he can just stop Huck from breaking him. But Huck needs to do what he can. He needs to continue up this pressure, continue up this aggression, and if he can finally break the back of MVP, then he will be victorious. A great observation there. Let's take a look here as to what is going on in terms of upgrades. We're 2-3 right now for the ground army of MVP, 0-0 for the air units. And how is Huck doing in terms of upgrades? Looks like 2 armor, 3 shield, and only 1 weapons for those ground units. And for the air units, he has got, wow, look at that, 2 for the armor there. Interceptors sitting with those 3 upgrades there as well, so very nice. Huck looks to be in the better position in terms of those upgrades. We do have a War Prism getting ready to drop, and also here we go, finally seeing some drop aggression here from MVP, moving straight into the main, trying to do some damage. It looks like he will be target firing down those pylons, forcing Huck to recreate those. He is capped right now, though, at 200, and here comes that massive army push. High Templar sitting up here in the War Prism, will be getting ready to drop those storms when need be. Needs to be careful, though, almost getting sniped down by those Vikings. Carriers will be shooing back those Vikings right now. There's the drop in the main, trying to do what he can for damage. He has managed to take out some of those pylons. It looks like Huck will be focusing on those mining expansions. That is, of course, the smart decision right now, and trying to create some sort of a buffer here with those carriers against that ground army. And look at this. Oh boy, MVP dangerously close to losing that expansion, trying to engage with his bio. He does still have the drop, but that gets taken care of from those DT, and wow, Huck managing to defend against that drop and continue up this aggression. Some big storms landing on that bio army, taking it out, and this is a problem for MVP, and MVP calling the GG. So there you go, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this replay commentary. Definitely quite an exciting game, I'd have to say. As you can see here, obviously there isn't the post-game recap that we're used to seeing. I will be starting that up once I return from my vacation in Las Vegas, but right now I'm a little crunched for time, so devoting the time to that isn't actually possible right now, as I'm about to kind of head out the door. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, if you like the content, please subscribe to the channel. Keep watching and keep owning.